Okay, lecture has started. So yesterday we started from this slide that fertility of the soil depends on these many factors, and we also discussed the fact that though these factors are being studied individually, their interrelationships and interdependence is very well established. As such, it is only a matter of simplification of the topic that we identify each of them separately. Otherwise, all of them are working together. Then we spoke about soil erosion and how do we prevent soil erosion. And after which we went into the role of human factors in agriculture. Uh, General understanding around the world is that the Western countries look at agriculture in a profit orientation, while Asian countries look at it from a point of subsistence level. Of course, both the philosophies are dependent on the style of the society which functions. Asian countries, you'll see that the natural growth rate of population is huge. As a consequence, you need to feed a large number of population. If you're speaking about Asia, you'll see that if we take only two countries like India and China, okay, and we add their populations together, it tends to go to nearly two and a half, more than two and a half of a billion. And then you add Indonesia, Bangladesh, and Pakistan to it, okay, it nearly sums up to half of the world's population, Japan included in that, and so on and so forth. As a consequence, the rate of increase of population leads to the fact that agriculture needs to be looked upon as a subsistence activity. While in the Western countries, you'll see that particularly countries like Australia, Canada, USA, countries like Brazil and Argentina in the Southern Hemisphere, in the South American continent, land is more and population is less. We spoke about this yesterday that this happens more with the countries in the Southern Hemisphere, as these have been populated much later after the or in the process of industrial revolution, I would say. As a consequence, agriculture is looked upon more as a profit oriented activity here as such. Okay. Then we spoke about the size of the farms, the characteristic features which affect the size of the farms in the Western countries and the Asian countries as such. And then we spoke about the factors of production, land, labor, capital, and management. Again, let me remind you that these factors are so very, say, intricated into each other. They don't. It's a matter of academic purpose that we look at them separately. Otherwise, one is related to other, and the other is related to the one beyond it as such. We spoke about the role of the sociocultural factors in human geography or affecting agriculture. Uh, Land use as the basic premise that we started with today. Okay, you'll see that the Westerners are looking at land use from a different philosophy, and the say the old world is looking at land use from a different philosophy. Okay, we here look at it from a subsistence level, and the Westerners are more looking at it at a profit level as such. Then we spoke about the social structure and how it affects agriculture. Now, I gave you one example, or rather two examples following each other in two different religions that in the Muslim religion or the Islam religion, pig is not supposed to be a very hygienic animal, and that's why eating pork, etc., is going to be kept aside. And then, uh, as far as Hinduism is concerned, you will also see that beef is a matter which is a matter of meat which is not consumed. So there is not going to be a favor. Now, your question would be, sir, how is this related to agriculture? I would say partially it is related to mixed agriculture, but looking at a country like the US, of course, we we know that the US is much multi-diverse and so on and so forth. But in similar conditions, you'll see that if the market of the agricultural produce around you belongs to a particular religion, say for example, the Middle East dominantly has and follows an Islamic culture. So obviously, the demand for pork is not going to be there. Now, in that sense, what would happen? Going back to the conditions in United States, you'll see that corn, okay, maka jala म्हणतो आपण, is cultivated for the sheer purpose of feeding pigs and developing piggery as such. Now, if there is no demand for pork, obviously rearing pigs is going to be a non-economic activity. And if that is going to be a non-economic activity, feeding them on a particular product of agriculture would be an act of loss rather than profit. So that is how social structures are going to be impacting the whole issue as such. Okay. Then you'll see tradition. We spoke about it yesterday as well. That if traditionally a particular area is going to be cultivating the same crop for years together, the son in that particular family is obviously going to follow the patterns and practices that have been followed in the family, that is his father and his grandfather and so on and so forth. So tradition plays an important role here as such, and that's why you'll see that if somebody comes up with a new practice, he's supposed to be, or he's labeled as an innovative farmer as such. Okay, we need to remember that with changes in times, one, and these changes have been very fast since the HIV or the Green Revolution. And as a consequence, if one does not change the pattern, it becomes difficult to extract that much amount of productivity and production from that piece of land. So tradition is in relation to that. As I beliefs, I could say religious belief, social beliefs as such do play an important role as far as the impact of human aspects on agriculture is concerned. Now, belief, I would say something related to human as well as physical is that farmers in India believe that, I would say particularly in southern India, believe that the monsoon will arrive in the first week of June. It is said that it arrives in the the last week of May in Andaman, Nicobar, and then it and Lakshadweep, and then of course it traverses onto the mainland India. Through the first week of June, it traverses from Kerala upwards, and by 7th of June, it is believed that it reaches Maharashtra and Pune and Mumbai as such. Now, though there could be some scientific experimentation behind this, a common belief is that it should reach central parts of India by around 10th of June. Now, this is a normal belief. So consequently, what needs to be done as far as farming is concerned, say for example, plowing or sowing of seeds, etc., is concerned, that needs to be done before the belief date you say is so and so as far as the onset of monsoon is concerned. Now there could be short-term aspects of climate change, etc., which could be affecting the monsoon and the dates as such. But because I believe that I need to be ready for the rains in the first week of June, I, as a farmer, would be plowing and keeping it ready for the rains to arrive. If the rains get delayed, then of course we have other socio-cultural problems as such. Okay, and then long drawn practices as such, I would say here, particularly as far as shifting cultivation is concerned, you'll see that though we now know that shifting cultivation leads to a higher amount of environmental degradation and damage, but because it's a long drawn practice as far as the tribal people are concerned, the northeast and some parts, some hilly regions of southern India as well, you'll see that it tends to be practiced even today. So that's about the socio-cultural factors as such. And then we move to the ownership of land and rent and how that affects agriculture as an activity as such. I think I'm missing on one point here. I'll come to that. Possibly that could be there in the point later. Okay, I'll cover it here and then we'll refer to it when it joins later as well. Okay, you'll see that ownership and land and rent, it all started with reference to, now we don't have historical documentation of what happened before the feudal system, and that is why we don't list it as far as the factor affecting is concerned. But then we definitely know that the feudal system started around the 12th and the 13th century in Europe, and how the manor and etc., the whole setup came up as far as agricultural activity around that landlord was concerned. And I would say this gave way to something that happened in America also. That I spoke about this elaborately yesterday, that the tobacco and cotton cultivations, not only in South America, but you'll see that the West Indian islands, etc., okay, were more to do with the slavery associated with the whole activity. And that's why I've labeled it as the American cultivation as such. A same model, a similar model seen in India is the zamindari system, which was abolished, of course, in independent India, but it had deep roots. Okay, and it does have some threads. I won't say deep roots, but some threads even to date, as leading to the issue of money lending. You'll see that we spoke about this, that agriculture requires capital. At a subsistence level, it may not require that much amount of capital, but it's still uh, what you could call as a running capital is required. So the farmer tends to think that, okay, let me loan some amount from someone, and this should help me in the initial process. And after I have finished my harvesting, I could sell the produce and pay back the loan as far as the money lender is concerned. Okay, so that's another aspect. But if the money lender is not ready to give you the loan, and you are not in that psyche to go in for a loan for the sheer practice of agriculture, then of course the land and rent an issue would be there. Fragmentation is something that we spoke about as a social structure also in Asian countries. You'll see that as the ownership of land travels from one generation to the other, if the new generation has a larger number of claimers, then of course, in the sense that a father has two children, three children, four boys, okay, the piece of land which one father has eventually gets divided into two, three, four sections respectively, and fragmentation has been a real cause for fall in the uh, output productivity, particularly is concerned, the land availability and the production ratio is concerned. As far as land and rent issue is concerned, you'll see that taking into consideration all these aspects of zamindari and fragmentation and money lending, you'll see that government tends to, in India particularly, and of course this happens in worldwide as well, that in India you have these various government schemes like the TRISEM and the NREP and the IRTP. I would request you all to go into the long forms of this, okay, so that त्यानिमित्ताने तरी तुम्ही याचे long forms पाहाल and you'll try to you get an idea of Sorry, what was the last point that we stopped at? हॅलो, कुठला पॉइंट डिस्कस करत होतो मी शेवटचा?
सर ते फुल फॉर्म्स बद्दल होते, सर्च करायला लागले होते.
गव्हर्नमेंट
ओके ओके, तो पॉइंट होता का? ठीक आहे, आय जस्ट गो बॅक टू दॅट. Yeah, government schemes, ownership, land rent. Okay, then I shifted to this, the purchase and sale of agricultural produce. हे झालं, हे तुम्ही ऐकलंच नाही का?
नो
नाही
सर,
सर.
लेफ्ट झाले होते तुम्ही.
ओके ओके, आता इथून पुढे तसं झालं तर माझं शक्यतो लक्ष असतं, पण कशी एकदा पट्टी लागली की कधी कधी ते लक्षात राहत नाही हे झाल्याचं. आज जर आमच्या इकडे इंटरनेटचा प्रॉब्लेम पण आहे. Anyway, so the next aspect, human aspect, which would be affecting the purchase and sale of agricultural produce, is in relation to traders, MSP, PDS. परत जर मिस झालं तर तुम्ही डायरेक्ट मला कॉल करू शकता पटकन, म्हणजे आपला जास्त वेळ जाणार नाही. So when you're speaking about traders, there are various ways in which traders get associated with farmers. Now, in case of food grains are concerned, normally you will see traders visit those areas only after you have the harvest, and accordingly तुमचा भाव वगैरे सेट केला जातो. बहुतेक बऱ्याच वेळेस आपण जो मागच्या स्लाइड मध्ये बघितलं की ट्रेडिशन जो असतो त्या एरियामधले यू हॅव वेल नोन ट्रेडर्स हू विल विजिट दीज विलेजेस अँड त्यांचे भाव ठरलेले असतात. तुमचा माल उचलण्याची क्षमता आणि तुम्हाला पेमेंट करण्याची क्षमता अमुक अमुक ट्रेडर्स मध्ये असते. बट इट मे सो हॅपन दॅट समटाइम्स द ट्रेडर्स मे अननेसेसरीली फीस द म्हणजे ज्याला आपण भाव पाडणं म्हणतो, मुद्दाम भाव पाडून खरेदी करण्याची शक्यता असते, आणि ती शक्यता असते म्हणण्यापेक्षा बऱ्याच वेळेस तसंच केलं जातं. And that's why the government comes with what is called as MSP, minimum price support program. Here is ही सिस्टीम बऱ्याच लोकांना माहिती सुद्धा असेल की शेतकरी बाजारात त्याचं प्रोडक्ट विकायसाठी मोकळा असतो, पण जस्ट इन केस की त्याला तेवढा ट्रेडर कडनं जर भाव नाही मिळाला तर गव्हर्नमेंट म्हणतं की ओके, वी विल बाय युअर प्रोड्यूस एज सच. फॉर एक्झाम्पल, आता गव्हाची शेती जर मी करत असेल आणि गव्हाचा भाव जर 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 फॉर एक्झाम्पल कोणीतरी त्याला 25 रुपयाने मागित असेल, किंवा अर्थात किलोवर हे डिसिजन नसतं, दिस इज बेसिकली ऑन क्विंटल. सो 2,500 भाव देत आहेत, पण मग हा जर फार कमी असेल तर ऑब्विसली सो हॅपन्स दॅट द गव्हर्नमेंट सेज की गव्हर्नमेंट इन फॅक्ट डिसाइड्स की द मिनिमम प्राइस फॉर अ पर्टिक्युलर ऍग्रिकल्चरल प्रोड्यूस इज गोइंग टू बी दिस मच. गव्हासाठी ती 2700 रुपये पर क्विंटल असा असू शकतो, आणि त्याच्यापेक्षा जर कमी भाव त्याला मिळत असेल तर त्यांनी निश्चितच ते गव्हर्नमेंटकडे विकणं योग्य राहतं. त्याच्यापेक्षा जास्त भाव एखादा ट्रेडर त्याला देत असेल तर ही कॅन ऑलवेज ट्रेड विथ दीज ट्रेडर्स ॲज सच. Then comes what is called as the PDS, the public distribution system. Also, मी काल म्हटलं होतं की as far as the public distribution systems are concerned, ज्याला रेशनिंग शॉप, त्याच्याबद्दल थोडंसं मी काल बोललो होतो. The other side of it, the consumer side of it, but public distribution systems basically came up with the fact की urbanization जेव्हा वाढीस लागलं भारतामध्ये, see की the density of population in urban area and the supply of various products was not up to the mark, and as a consequence there was a huge gap between demand and supply, and त्याच्यामुळे मग black marketing वगैरे सगळं होत होतं. But this should not happen as far as food commodities are concerned. So the government came up with what is called as the public distribution system, and a select number of articles or food resources would be available here. तुम्हाला मॉलमध्ये एखाद्या मिळतील एवढे पदार्थ तुम्हाला रेशनिंगच्या दुकानात मिळणार नाही, पण बेसिक गरजेपुरता तुमचं गहू, तांदूळ, साखर, ज्वारी असे बेसिक आणि एक दोन वेगळे, बाजरी आली तर आली वगैरे, इट डिपेंड्स. ज्वारी बाजरी जे आहे, it would basically depend on the produce and the total amount available with the government as such. पण तुम्ही रेशनिंग शॉप मध्ये जाऊन म्हणाल की आम्हाला ओट्स द्या आणि आम्हाला मशरूम द्या, तर असलं काही रेशनिंग शॉप मध्ये मिळत नाही. इट्स बेसिकली पब्लिक डिस्ट्रीब्युशन सिस्टीम. सर्वसामान्यांना परवडेल अशी कमॉडिटीज इथे रास्त भावात विकले जातात. मी तुम्हाला ते साखरेबद्दल सांगितलं काल. सो कमिंग टू द PDS systems as such. So it is the agricultural produce which is brought by the government, food agricultural produce which is brought by the government, which otherwise tends to be sold on PDS as such. आणि मी काल सुद्धा म्हटलं आणि याच्या आधी सुद्धा म्हटलं होतं की कोविडच्या काळामध्ये 5 किलो घरटी तांदूळ किंवा गहू देण्याची योजना सुद्धा केंद्र सरकारने अंमलात आणली होती. and so on and so forth. So what the government buys from the farmer tends to be put to use in this particular way. Public distribution system मध्ये दारिद्र्य रेषेखालील, त्याला कुठलं कलरचं रेशनिंग कार्ड म्हणतात मला माहित आहे, पिवळं रेशनिंग कार्ड मला वाटतं, पांढरं रेशनिंग कार्ड, आय एम नॉट व्हेरी शुअर.
पिवळं असतं सर.
कुठलं पिवळं असतं ना? येस. कारण गेली 4-5 वर्ष आमच्या घरी तर मी रेशनिंग कार्ड पाहिलं नाही. हळूहळू द गव्हर्नमेंट इज फेजिंग आउट. की तुमचा इन्कम, पर्टिक्युलर फॅमिलीचा कुठल्या इन्कम ग्रुपमध्ये बसतं त्याप्रमाणे त्यांनी एक 20-25 वर्षापूर्वी सेग्रिगेशन सुरू केलं. पूर्वी सरसकट सगळ्यांना एकाच कलरचं रेशनिंग कार्ड असतं, पण ते सरकारच्या लक्षात आलं की त्याची युटिलिटी जी आहे ही व्यवस्थित पोहोचत नाहीये, आणि त्याच्यामुळे मग दे सेग्रिगेटेड देम ऑन इकॉनॉमिक स्टेटस, आणि मग पांढरं, पिवळं, केशरी असं वेगवेगळे रेशनिंग कार्ड करून हळूहळू आपण हे गव्हर्नमेंटचा प्रयत्न पाहतोय की हे सगळं स्ट्रीमलाईन होताना दिसतंय. एनिवे, सो द ऍग्रिकल्चरल प्रोड्यूस कलेक्टेड फ्रॉम द फार्मर कॅन बी सोल्ड टू द नीडी पीपल थ्रू द PDS सिस्टम्स एज सच. याच्या व्यतिरिक्त मी काल सुद्धा म्हटलं की वेअर हाऊसिंग केलं जातं, तो ठेवलं जातं, बफर स्टॉक म्हणून ठेवलं जातं की पुढच्या वर्षी जर पाऊस नीट पडला नाही एखाद्या एरियामध्ये किंवा भारतभर, मग आपण याचं काय करणार आहोत, कसं करणार आहोत, त्याच्यासाठी सुद्धा सरकारने जो प्रक्युअर केलेला असतो मटेरियल, ते वेअर हाऊसिंग केलं जातं, त्याचा स्टॉक करून ठेवला जातो. सो दॅट्स वन थिंग. अनदर इश्यू दॅट इम्पॅक्ट्स agricultural activity is crop insurance. Okay, crop insurance is very old. 1885 onwards, crop insurance came into practice, but you will see that unfortunately even today it is not something which is looked upon as a very beneficial thing as such. Okay, and that's कारणाने you will see की as far as crop insurance is concerned, in many states आणि महाराष्ट्रामध्ये सुद्धा क्रॉप इन्शुरन्स हे सरकारकडनं केलं जातं शेतकऱ्यांच्या मालाच. आणि मध्यंतरी मला वाटतं 2-2.5 महिन्यापूर्वी हा मोठा इश्यू पण झाला होता की काही इन्शुरन्स कंपन्यांनी त्यांना ते हे द्यायचा, परतावा द्यायचा नाकारलं होतं. अँड बिकॉज ऑफ दॅट देर वर सम टेन्शन्स, आणि काही ठिकाणी मग इन्शुरन्स कंपन्यांच्या ऑफिसेस शेतकऱ्यांनी जाऊन त्याची थोडी नासधूस वगैरे केली होती. But insurance is something which is, I would say, तुम्ही पहा सगळ्या इन्शुरन्स कंपनी जेव्हा त्यांची ऍडव्हर्टाईज करतात त्याच्यामध्ये इन्शुरन्स ही आग्रह की वस्तू आहे. आग्रह म्हणजे सॉलिसिटेशन. इन्शुरन्स इज एन इन्स्ट्रुमेंट ऑफ सॉलिसिटेशन, की आम्ही आग्रह करतो की तुम्ही हे घ्यावं, तुमच्याकडे असावं. बट नॉट मेनी पीपल आर कन्व्हिन्स. बट आत्ता आपण क्लायमॅटिक वेगरीज पाहता, गव्हर्नमेंट्स are playing a major role. In fact, पुढचे जे फॅक्टर्स आहेत आपण पाहतो, गव्हर्नमेंट इज प्लेइंग, मी मागच्या स्लाइडवर सुद्धा म्हटलं होतं की फॅक्टर्स अफेक्टिंग ऍग्रिकल्चर असू दे किंवा अदर एरियाज, स्मॉल स्केल इंडस्ट्रीज वगैरे असू दे, you will see that governments of respective countries are playing a major role as far as all these aspects are concerned. And thus, when we come to the institutional factors as such, okay, you'll see that we had the establishment of the NABARD in 1982, the National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development. आता तुम्ही म्हणाल की ऍग्रिकल्चर आणि रुरल डेव्हलपमेंट याच्यासाठी बँक कशाला हवी. तर युल सी दॅट while we look at the whole sentence, it looks to be a bit split, but you see that agriculture and rural development go hand in hand, in the sense that आज सुद्धा तुम्ही मला जर विचारलं की भारतामध्ये ऍग्रिकल्चरशी रिलेटेड किती पॉप्युलेशन आहे, तर इट्स लिटरली 65%, ऍटलीस्ट मोर दॅन हाफ ऑफ इट अख्ख्या भारतामध्ये. आणि याच्यातलं आपण अर्बन पॉप्युलेशन काढलं आणि इफ यू आर जस्ट लुकिंग इट टू रुरल एरियाज as such, and we try to correlate the percentage of our individuals involved in agricultural activity, it would be a very high percentage as such. आणि आपल्याकडे रुरल एरियाज मध्ये मेजर ऍक्टिव्हिटी काय आहे, तर इट इज ऍग्रिकल्चर. सो अनलेस अँड अंटिल ऍग्रिकल्चर comes up, you'll see that rural development is not going to be well supported as such. And that's why we came up with the concept of NABARD in 1982, that we blend agriculture and rural development together for the prosperity of the rural community. But then there was a difficulty in this also, given the size of India as a country, given the diversity that we have as far as traditions are concerned, given the diversity that we have as far as land sizes are concerned, practices are concerned, socio-cultural beliefs are concerned, and of course the climatic regionalization is concerned, soil is concerned, it becomes very difficult to have a blanket policy when it comes to agriculture, putting agriculture and rural development together. And thus it is seen की in fact season of cultivation सुद्धा वेगळा असतो. म्हणजे मी मला वाटतं मगाशी ऑफ होतो का ऑनलाईन होतो जेव्हा मी मॉन्सूनच्या आगमनाचे हे सांगत होतो की नॉर्मली वी नो दॅट द डेट्स ऑफ मॉन्सून की 1 जूनला साधारण तो केरळमध्ये येतो, 7 जूनला तो महाराष्ट्रामध्ये येतो, असा करत करत तो जुलै एंड पर्यंत, जून जुलै पर्यंत तो पंजाब पर्यंत पोहोचत असतो. त्याचं प्रमाण जे आहे हळूहळू कमी होत जातं. सो देर आर सो मेनी डायव्हर्सिटीज ऑन द होल प्रोसेस. ऍज अ कॉन्सिक्वेंट नाबार्डनी जर ठरवलं की अमुक अमुक पॉलिसी देशासाठी असेल तर ती लागू होणार नाही, किंबहुना नाबार्ड म्हटलं की ओके केरळमध्ये पाऊस जर 1ला येत असेल तर सगळ्यांनी त्यांच्या शेताची नांगरणी साधारण 1 जूनच्या आधी करून घ्यावी, which is going to be something which is going to be very funny when you are going to compare the dates of the onset of the monsoon as far as the northern states are concerned. त्यासाठी मग तुम्ही काय करायला पाहिजे, तर यू हॅव टू कम अप विथ व्हेरियस रिजन्स की अमुक एरियामध्ये इतका पाऊस पडतो, ही माती आहे, हा प्रोड्यूस आहे, ही रिजनल प्रॅक्टिस आहे. So we should be going by that, and that's how we come up with what are called as regional rural banks. की एक पर्टिक्युलर रिजन, मग पंजाब हरियाणा सारख्या सदर्न एरियामध्ये रिजनल रुरल बँकची प्रॅक्टिस वेगळी असेल. आउटलाईन जी आहे किंवा आपण म्हणूयात की असे जनरल मध्ये प्रॅक्टिसेस ज्या आहेत त्या नाबार्ड हायलाइट करून देतील आणि मग नाबार्डच्या ज्या हायलाइटेड पॉइंट्स आहेत त्या अनुषंगाने रिजनल रुरल बँक्स थोडेसे त्याच्यामध्ये ऍडजस्टमेंट करून त्या रिजन्स मध्ये त्याप्रमाणे त्याचा अंमल केला जातो. सो institutional factors on a national scale and a regional scale are also going to be impacting agricultural activity as such. Okay, as we have seen ki NABARDचं जे long form आहे ki it's for agriculture and rural development. Okay, it was believed that when we need to come and speak about rural development in an integrated fashion as such, okay, something that integrates the rural system is the Panchayati Raj. And since we need to integrate the whole, we need to develop the rural areas, okay, integrating all of this together is going to be very important as such. And by then what had happened is that the Panchayati Raj was this hierarchy of Panchayati Raj at the village and the block and the district level is concerned, ज्याला आपण ZP म्हणतो, that is at the district level, जिल्हा परिषद, was well established आणि यांच्याकडे कामच ते दिलं होतं की प्रमोशन ऑफ ऍग्रिकल्चर अँड रुरल इंडस्ट्रीज. ओके, आता ऑब्व्हियसली रुरल एरियामध्ये आयर्न अँड स्टील इंडस्ट्री तुम्ही लावू शकत नाही, मग इंडस्ट्री कुठली लावणार, तर त्याच्यामध्ये ऍग्रिकल्चरल प्रोड्यूस कुठला आणि त्या अनुषंगाने तुम्हाला कुठली इंडस्ट्री उभारता येते का, हे काम कुणाकडे दिलं होतं, तर त्या लोकल पंचायत राज सिस्टीम मध्ये लोकल ब्लॉक ऑफिस किंवा एरियामध्ये त्या BDO कडे दिलेलं असेल. तर त्या अनुषंगाने याच बरोबर मेंटेनिंग ऑफ ग्रेझिंग ग्राउंड असेल किंवा विलेज रोड्स असेल मेंटेनन्स त्याचा असेल किंवा टँक्स अँड वेल्स, बिकॉज अगेन टँक्स अँड वेल्स आर रिलेटेड टू सप्लाय ऑफ वॉटर as far as agricultural fields are concerned. So all this, since under the Panchayati Raj system, you'll see that यांच्याकडे हे काम अलॉट करण्यात आलेलं आहे. So you'll see that blending it with rural development and agricultural development was found comparatively easier. कारण तुम्हाला जर पुन्हा रुरल एरिया पर्यंत पोचायचं म्हटलं तर एक पॅरलल अशी तुम्हाला संस्था उभी करावी लागेल. पण तुमच्याकडे जर एखादी संस्था ऑलरेडी अवेलेबल असेल इन द फॉर्म ऑफ Panchayati Raj, which works at a lower level, starting at the village level, and then one step up higher, that's block, and then you have come up to what is the district level, and so on and so forth. You already have an established system, and त्याचा जर तुम्ही थोडासा त्याला पुष्टून उपयोग करून घेतला, so that is going to help you as far as agricultural development is concerned, and through that channel, you'll see that that's considered to be another human factor affecting agricultural system, the agricultural system. Okay, finally, but however, most importantly, you'll see that technological factors. Is this the final one? Yes. The technological factors. Okay, याच्याबद्दल आपण अनेक वेळा आधीच्या लेक्चर्स मध्ये सुद्धा बोललेलो आहे की to start with, what is the need for technological factors? What does technology mean? Basically, it's a use of machines as such. Why was technology needed? त्याच्यासाठी आपण 200-250 वर्ष मागे गेलो तर कॉलोनायझेशनचा पिरियड जर आठवला आपण आणि द साइज ऑफ फार्म्स इन द ट्रॉपिकल एरियाज जर आठवले तर दे रिक्वायर्ड मशीन्स टू वर्क, बिकॉज हा फक्त तिकडे असणाऱ्या लेबर होता तिकडे, पण तेवढा लेबर पुरेसा नव्हता, मग मशीन्स येणं गरजेचं होतं. आणि ऑब्व्हियसली द आउटपुट ऑफ इंडस्ट्रियल रेव्होल्यूशन वॉज रिक्वायर्ड as well. Okay, so initially in the Western countries, due to lack of labor, machines ची गरज लागली. Developing countries मध्ये मात्र conditions were different. Labor cheap होतं आणि obviously the size of the farms were less given the size of the machines that were tended to be used. So initially it was some different aspect, but then of late you'll see that even the developing countries are using machines to quite an extent. म्हणतो अगदी शेतीसाठी एखाद्या विहिरीवर बसवलेला पंप असू दे, दॅट्स ऑल्सो अ मशीन. किंवा मला वाटतं मागे कधीतरी आपण एका डिस्कशन मध्ये मला आठवते मी बोललो होतो की ट्रॅक्टरची साईज आजकाल तुम्ही बघितली तर एकेकाळी मोठे मोठे ट्रॅक्टर असायचे फॉर बेसिकली बिल्ट फॉर लार्ज साईज फार्म्स, पण आता लक्षात आलेलं आहे की छोट्या फार्म्स साठी छोटे ट्रॅक्टर्स लागतील. तर हे नवीन जर तुम्ही आजकाल बाजारातले ट्रॅक्टर्स पाहिले, बहुतेकांच्या घरी सुद्धा असण्याची शक्यता आहे, ते बऱ्यापैकी स्मॉल साईज ट्रॅक्टर्स असतात. पॉवर थोडीशी कमी असते, बट दे आर वर्केबल इन स्मॉल फील्ड्स एज सच. सो technological factors start with machines like these as such. Technological factors at various levels, you'll see की subsistence level farming मध्ये आपण किती टेक्नॉलॉजी वापरतो. स्मॉल फार्म्स बट इंटेन्सिव्ह यूज ऑफ मशीन्स के पर्टिक्युलरली आता ही कुठली आहे तर ही युरोपच्या शहरी भागाच्या आसपास असणारी जी फार्म्स आहेत किंवा आपल्या इथे तुम्ही पाहाल की मोठ्या मोठ्या शहरांच्या आसपास जी असणारी फार्म्स आहेत इथे इंटेन्सिव्ह यूज ऑफ मशीन्स लागतं आणि ऍज अ कॉन्सिक्वेन्स युल सी दॅट यू विल सी अ लॉट ऑफ मशिनरी युज्ड इन दीज रिजन्स एज सच. मी मगाशी म्हटलं तसं की प्लांटेशन ऍग्रिकल्चर मध्ये सगळ्यात जास्त मशीन्सचा उपयोग केला जातो आणि याच बरोबर कोऑपरेटिव्ह आणि स्टेट फार्म्स, म्हणजे आपण जेव्हा हिस्ट्री ऑफ ऍग्रिकल्चर पाहिलं तेव्हा आपण रशियामध्ये स्टेट फार्मिंग पाहिलं, कोऑपरेटिव्ह फार्मिंग पाहिलं. तर अशा ठिकाणी इनफॅक्ट इफ यू रिमेंबर आपण तिथे पाहिला की तिकडे एक मॅनेजर असायचा, तो हे सगळं ट्रॅक्टर वगैरेचं अलॉटमेंट वगैरे हे सगळं पाहतो. सो द यूज ऑफ टेक्नॉलॉजिकल मशीन्स in cooperative and state farms is also an issue. That's something that is practiced now. आपल्याला normally एवढ्याच machines पाहायला मिळतात, but you'll see that as far as the western countries are concerned, machines of harvesters, प्रचंड मोठमोठे हार्वेस्टर्स वापरले जातात. अर्थात आपल्याकडे पंजाब हरियाणामध्ये सुद्धा मोठे, उत्तर प्रदेश, पश्चिम उत्तर प्रदेशमध्ये मोठ्या प्रमाणात हार्वेस्टर्स वापरले जातात. पण आपल्याकडे विमानाचा किंवा छोट्या विमानांचा ऍग्रिकल्चर करता उपयोग हा अगदीच प्रातिनिधिक स्वरूपात केला जातो. पण इफ यू गो टू से फार्म्स इन साऊथ आफ्रिका, इन अर्जेंटिना, in Australia, to some extent in the US and Canada also. Of course, on the continent of Europe also, you'll see that a lot many advanced type of machines are used as far as farming practices are concerned. And another technological factor, particularly point that we need to consider here, particularly after the Green Revolution, is the high yielding variety of seeds and the associated technology that you require. Associated spelling it is, sorry. The associated technology that you would require. We have seen one of the many requirements of HYV seeds and cultivation of HYV seeds is use of a lot of water. आणि हे आपल्यासारख्या देशामध्ये आपण पाहतो की 4-5 महिने पाऊस असतो. देन यू हॅव टू इरिगेट. सो फॉर दॅट पर्पज ऑफ इरिगेशन तुम्हाला कनाल्स बांधावे लागतात. तुम्हाला या कनालचं पाणी डायव्हर्ट करावं लागतं. हे एका पॉइंट पासून दुसऱ्या पॉइंट पर्यंत न्यायला तुम्हाला ते पंप लागतात, शेतीचे पंप. आणि ऑब्विसली if it's going to happen at that particular level, subsequent machinery obviously is going to be required as such. So because human activity or human act is required in most of the building up of technical machines as such, technological factor happens to be another human factor which affects agriculture as a practice. So with this, we finish with the aspect of human factors affecting agricultural geography as such. We're going to stop here today. Tomorrow, when we meet, we will start with what is called as agricultural regionalization. What is a region? Because if you remember, when we started with geography as a concept, मी ह्या सेमेस्टरचं नाही मागच्या सेमेस्टरचं म्हणतो की what are the USPs in geography? geography मध्ये काय काय करतो आपण, तर आपण मॅप्स काढतो. मॅप्स कुठल्या आधारावर काढतो, तर एक पर्टिक्युलरली डिफाईन्ड एरिया असतो. हा डिफाईन्ड एरियाच्या साठी आपण वेगवेगळे बेसिस वापरत असतो. Similarly, for agricultural aspect also, you're going to use various areas of defining a particular region as such. And what is this? कोणी याच्याबद्दल काय केलेलं आहे? And what do agricultural scientists have to say about this? त्याच्यातली ही पॉप्युलर नावं आहेत. विटेल्सी आहे, हार्टशॉन आहे. वी हॅव अदर नेम्स ऑल्सो. बेकर आहे याच्यामध्ये. आणि मला वाटतं अजून काही नावं आहेत दॅट विल कम to use when we move towards the next topic of our syllabus, and that's agricultural regionalization. We will stop here for the day, however, and when we meet tomorrow, just a moment. Stop sharing and I'll end the show. When we meet tomorrow, we'll go into the details of the whole concept of region. What exactly does a region mean, and how do we associate agricultural activity and the regionalization as such. म्हणजे आपण आता बोलता बोलता पण मी तुम्हाला सांगत होतो की when we speak about technological use, see, technology is put to use in a different way in northern India, southern India. Bolta bolta, I have regionalized India into various regions. Okay, northern, southern, northeastern part of India, western part of India. मग याच्यासाठी आपण वेगवेगळे पॅरामीटर्स लावतो. कधी कधी आपण म्हणतो वेस्टर्न पार्ट बद्दल इंडिया बद्दल बोलायचं असेल, नॉर्थ वेस्टर्न पार्ट म्हणजे गुजरात, राजस्थान बद्दल बोलायचं असेल, तर ऑब्विसली the more drier part, and then you come down to south, मग रेन शॅडो वेगळा असतो, कोकणकडचा एरिया वेगळा असतो. So we use various ways in which we tend to regionalize various areas as such. याच agricultural regionalization चा टॉपिक घेऊन आपण उद्या डिस्कशन सुरू करणार आहोत. For now, this is all that we have for today.